Hey, hello, hello, hello. Glad you could be with us today. It's been a long time. But you know what? I couldn't stay away. And it's just too much information that really, really needs to be said, needs to be shared. And the main uh, group of. Actually, I think black people have themselves in one of the most vicious cycles and one of the worst conditions and situations that you could ever want to be in as a human being. Not only do you have to worry about outside agitators, uh, i.e., police department, uh, mortgage assassins. Um, I mean, just a bombard of madness perpetuated against black people by outside forces. We have the great, great pleasure of also having to worry about people within who do the bidding for the oppressor and who are far, far more dangerous, far more wicked and detrimental to us and our growth than anything. So, and I can't make that statement without giving a lot of that responsibility, whether you like it or not, to the black church and to the black preacher specifically. Because the churches are not out on the highways and the byways. As a matter of fact, I take that back. The only group of people I give much respect to for that is the Jehovah Witnesses and, of course, the Nation of Islam. So, in my eyes, they get some respect because at least they're out there with the people, just out there, not preaching to the choir and talking about people and collecting money and being entertained when you got people dying on these streets every day. Chicago, a couple weekends ago, you had 40 shootings in one weekend. And I don't see the ministers coming out collectively saying, hey, look, we're going to close rank and we're going to deal with this stuff that's happening in our community. It's not going to happen. And you know why? Knowingly or wittingly or not, these individuals do the bidding for the oppressor. Yes, I said it. Your preacher man, um, I'm some of them are innocent. They're not very educated and they don't know any better and they're just doing it because they daddy did it and they granddaddy did it and they granddaddy's granddaddies did it or whatever. So I don't hold them much uh, responsible, although they must be stopped and educated, than these ones who are learned and theologians who are constantly perpetuating madness by not bringing our people what they need to hear on a Sunday morning when they're gathering at this facility more than any other place that black people can gather. I mean, and it's already organized and structured. Black people don't have no power because we're worshiping wrong deities. The preacher knows it. Most educated, theologically trained individuals, they know all about Constantine. They know all about the Council of Nicaea and the Council of Trent and how this whole Christian madness was put on display for us. And I know it's hard for y'all to take because we have been so ingrained in this madness, which is what is keeping us sick. Because whatever deities they worshiping, guess what? At least they belong to the group of people that have some kind of power. We don't practice anything that God has given us as a group of people, and we're looking to and worshiping deities that someone else has given us, and want to know why, as collective, as a group, we cannot prosper. You know what we blame it on? We blame it on somebody ain't living right, because if the Bible said, if you sow shall you prosper, so shall your soul prosper. That kind of madness. When there are 13 families in the crown who run this and keep us fighting, infighting with isms and schisms stealing the proper information and passing off and plagiarizing information and giving us those deities to worship. That is what has plagued us for over 400 years. And if you could just relate to the fact that your great 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 grandmother was not a Christian, she was not that when they brought her over here on that slave ship, but she had a sense of a creator and ancestors and worship. Why is that? What happened when she got on that ship? I'm going to tell you something. She didn't turn to a Christian willingly. It took generation after generation to condition us into this made Negro that we are today. We are made. We're like Frankensteins. Don't you understand that? And until we understand that whole concept, the whole concept was given to us by some real control driven freaks, starting with the Roman Catholic Church. And until you can understand that whole diabolical scheme, there's no way in the world you can get out of the matrix. But the only way we can have some power, y'all, is not going to be in a church house. It's only going to be through collective economics. There's no way. Let me ask you something. Do you ever see any Koreans out there talking about we shall overcome? No disrespect to Brother Martin, but Martin was evolving, and that's why he was assassinated. As long as he was singing that, and they know wasn't no power in that, he was fine. But the minute he recognized that he was leading his people into a burning house, was the minute that Dr. King became a threat. Okay? Because truth has a way of making you change some beliefs that you have. I didn't come here this morning to really get on the ministers. Yes, I did. I came here directly to get dead in the ministers and the church and what it represents in my community today. And the only way I can get that across to some of y'all is to go to the source. And this is a book called Dirty Little Secrets about black history, its heroes and other troublemakers. Its heroes and other troublemakers. Okay? By Dr. Claude Anderson. And I suggest that you get this book. It's very, very, very interesting and very factual. All you got to do is don't take the man's word for it. Go look it up for yourself. The American War for Independence gave blacks both free and enslaved cause to express their interest in religious freedom. But fearing blacks would use the Bible to seek freedom, education, or black unity, whites applied strict limits to black religious services. Well, did you hear that? Okay. So the Catholic Church, no matter if you Church of God in Christ, Pentecostal, PAW, Kojic, Black, African, Methodist, Lutheran, Catholic, the Pope is your daddy. While a few blacks, mostly house as opposed to field slaves, were allowed to attend services with whites, they were required to sit in separate all-black sections. Now, this is how your religious indoctrination and madness began. Okay? Take it back. Give some respect to your ancestors. See, y'all so mad that you can't even honor the people who shed their lives and blood, and we still here. This is the stuff they had to endure. So I want you to hear it good. And you tell me what purpose the black church should serve in the community today. Because he need to change, flip the script here. Once white slave owners realized that religion could serve as an excellent mechanism to control slaves, they allowed field blacks to attend services as long as they were accompanied by a white overseer. That's why all of y'all denominations is overseen by the white boy. That's why. Tell me one that ain't. Tell me one. Who over the head? It's going to be the white boy. Okay? This all come back from the indoctrination. Okay? Because we well into it now, and now we can't see that it's a programming. But I'm here to open up your eyes today. Because owners did not want black field hands in their own churches, they built modest chapels for them on their plantations. But by the latter part of the 18th century, whites in many slave states decided to allow blacks to build their own churches and conduct their own religious services. Not because they were so nice. Really, they didn't even want your black, you know, rise with spaz. Really didn't want you in there with them. Okay? This change of heart may have been motivated in part by a sincere desire to encourage the Christianizing of blacks, but the relentless push for increased control was never far from the surface. Okay? Because we realize once we can Christianize them, tell them to turn the other cheek, tell them to love them who spitefully use you, keep them in a submissive. As long as we can keep doing this and get somebody to keep this programming 200-300 years from now. See, one thing about them, they love their babies and their generations. They look out for them. They knew they would be dead and gone, but they knew their great grandchildren would reap the benefits of that damn programming. So it's going to take some kind of brutal programming to get us up out of this mess, okay? Just as brutal, in my opinion, as what got us here in the first place. So let me go ahead and finish before I get carried away here. This change of heart may have been motivated in part by a sincere desire to encourage the Christianizing of blacks, but the relentless push for increased control was never far from the surface. In response to independent services conducted by and for blacks, a national policy evolved requiring whites to select and license. Let me tell you again, it was a national policy that still is upheld today that evolved requiring whites to select and license all black preachers. Dominant white society controlled black religion, its ministers, and its churches. Let me say it again. Dominant white society controls black religion, its ministers, and the churches. Catechisms for religion instructions of slaves commonly bore such passages as this. Check this out. Question. Who gave you a master and a mistress? Answer. God gave them to me. Question. Who says that you must obey them? Answer. God says I must obey them. Woosah. Woosah. A black congregation had the potential of being a source of unrest, so slave owners allowed the only most pliable, compromising, and controllable blacks to become licensed as the ministerial head of the black congregation. Did you hear that? A black congregation had the potential of being a source of unrest, so slave owners allowed only the most pliable, compromising, and controllable blacks to become licensed as ministers. See, one thing about us, we're spiritual people. And if we can ever get ourselves to congregate together on one accord, we're going to call and we're going to hear from heaven. Now, if we could all get on that same page for our freedom, like they did in Birmingham or with the bus boycott, that was just a small peanut, mustard seed, should I say, of the things that we could do if collectively we would work in that order. If we decided to stop spending our money with these demons today, we'd shut them down. Okay? If we would go back to what we had when they were segregated before they ruined our minds, and we were so anxious and busy wanting to sit down in the damn restaurant with them, and if we would have kept our Negro leagues, and if we would have kept our Negro basketball leagues, who would be begging for money now? Who would be in control of some economic wealth that they could pass on generation after generation? We would. Because believe it or not, these are not original people. You are. And if you look at it on a spiritual level, everything they do is feeding off of you and your talents. You got all the NBA players black, but the sports agents who make the money off of them is white. You know, okay? Nobody want to see a a league full of no soul. People of color with melanin bring soul to the dynamic, and they know it. Anything we touch, we bring to life. We are the creators of all fashion and fad. Think about it. We gave everything to the world: science, literature, everything. But we get credit for nothing. Oh yes, we have a history past 2,000 years ago. That's the Europeans' history. So we are only dealing with a history post slavery, and that's why we don't really connect with the genius of who we are. It's impossible to, as long as you eating garbage. If you eat garbage, what you gonna be? What a man thinketh, so is he. You keep on thinking you're gonna die and go to heaven before you get rewarded, while these white people, or I'm sorry, these people of power that and white supremacy, which has dominated the planet, while these people continue to get whatever they want on earth, and they keep us in the construct of black against white, which is, although it's a real phenomenon, is really fake. Okay, wasn't always a color built society. Christianity did all of that. European thinking did all of that. Now, as long as you understand, first of all, that the most compromising and controllable blacks to become licensed as ministers, head of the black congregation. Now that you know that, you see where you go with this today. Compromising, let's march. Everything go wrong, let's march. Somebody said, what's the difference between a nigger and a snow tire? Right? A snow tire don't sing when you put chains on it. Oh God. I mean, really. The licensed black preacher were supposed to defer to secular authorities on political matters and avoid comments on the injustices that blacks suffered. Well, now we make comments on them, but we just tell everybody to just keep it cool and let's march. Keep it cool and let's march. Oh my God. It's so sickening that it bothers me. Okay, anyway, the licensed black minister are expected to encourage their black to be meek, obedient, and accepting of whites as masters. In this arrangement, blacks were to remain loyal to whites, and worldly gratification was postponed until after their deaths. The licensed black preacher again was supposed to defer all to secular authorities on political matters and avoid comments on injustices that blacks suffered. Since black could not develop businesses nor enter the professional ranks, the ministry became, well, a business as well as a job. Black ministers began cropping up all across the nation. Unlike in the white community, they became instant leaders. Popularity, respect, and income security came with the position. Even passing it on to your children when you die. Wow. There was no educational requirements, only a social obligation to support the status quo between the races. Did you hear me? There was no educational requirements, only a social obligation to support the status quo between the races. And so be your politicians. They one and the same. They do the oppressor's bidding. Oh Lord. It was not difficult to find blacks in every community and plantation willing to accept the prescribed leadership role for a preacher. In 1783, for instance, Jesse Peters became one of the first blacks to receive a preaching license. He was appointed to lead America's first Negro Baptist church, located in Silver Bluff, South Carolina. Joseph Willis was the first to deliver a Protestant sermon west of the Mississippi River, where the budding minister also moderated the first statewide Baptist organization, the Louisiana Association. Black churches are now the oldest black business in America, one of the few black businesses to survive integration. Never thought about it like that, did you? They raise more money on Sunday mornings. More of us congregate there than any other place. That's where we go. Even if we go out and have a hangover on Saturday night, we're going to get up and go to church in the morning on that Sunday. They pay good tithes because a lot of y'all think y'all can buy y'all way into heaven. So you pay good money to hear some things that's going to make you feel good for a few hours, you know. And on the individual level, you worry about, as long as me and mine is satisfied, I ain't worried about nothing else. But let me just let you know something. The indigenous people of the earth never thought that way. When the hunters went out and killed a calf and brought it back, they brought it for the whole village. The Native American, all people that are ingenuous, real people, that's how they think. They're not individualistic, selfish-minded people that say, "The hell with you, I got mines." That's a European mindset. The same mindset that laid down there in them caves and with dogs and animals and rats and lived with them and brought you the Black Plague. This is that beast thinking. And now so many of us have adapted the thought process of the beast that it's real difficult, extremely difficult, to break y'all up out of it. I would hope before it's too late that we would understand that Laotians, Mexicans, Japanese, Chinese, Somalians, most of them are, they're not out there talking about we shall overcome. They're not out there with picket signs. They're pulling their resources together, and they're doing and being what God intended them to be, free. God didn't create you to ask another human being for a job and for justice. You are that. You was born that. And anyone who is trying to take that away from you, don't get it twisted, is your enemy. And once you were able to identify who and what is your enemy and develop a hate, because hate is some powerful shit, okay? And it can get some shit moving. You need to understand and recognize that there is a time to hate. There's a time to kill. And once you establish that on a spiritual level, I'm not saying going out there and start killing people. I'm saying on a spiritual level, once you are one with that, then you can put down the garbage and understand how to read the Bible, or how to read this Word of God. Do some research about King James. If that's not important to you, then I know it's not important for you that we live as black people, and that you are a demon doing a bidding for white supremacy. And we need to wake up. And let's start in the church house. Either you're going to have to be a place of effective information and education, because you see they don't want to educate us, and bring our God forth creativity up out of us, and allow the church to inspire and do what it's really meant to do, or get out of the way and let some real folk come along that's going to do what is needed to feed the people. I thank y'all for listening. So have a great day.